Welcome back. If you just joined us, you're watching the news at 10 live on Channels Television Lagos. A reminder of our top stories. Confirmed cases of the coronavirus in Nigeria hits 44 as NCDC confirms 2 new cases, 1 each in the Federal Capital Territory and Bauchi State with travel history to Germany and the UK. Bauchi State Governor Bala Muhammad becomes the latest high-profile figure to test positive to COVID-19 after coming in contact with former VP Atiku Abubakar's son. Presidential Task Force on COVID-19 visits the villa amidst reports of Chief of Staff to the President, Abba Kyari, testing positive to the coronavirus. And India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi imposes a 21-day nationwide lockdown in a bid to slow the spread of the coronavirus. Plus, business and sports and news from the FCT Abuja, and later international news from our London studios. Our website, channelstv.com, has more information on our top stories and others. Subscribe and watch Channels Television's live stream on YouTube and other social media platforms using your mobile device browser, or download the Channels TV app for Android and iOS devices from their respective stores. You can also watch us via your smart TV platforms on Apple TV, Android TV, Fire TV, and Roku. The Lagos State government has been commended for updating Nigerians on the COVID-19 situation daily. The commendation comes from the national leader of the All Progressives Congress, Bola Tinubu, who's also asking Nigerians to adhere to the state government's social distance directive.
We got to congratulate the government of Lagos State for what is being done so far and the regular information and briefing to the public. Nigeria needs a lot of education in this challenging period. We are facing a mysterious enemy in COVID-19 and the coronavirus, so-called. We need to observe that social distancing. It's a new culture that we have to abide with. Congratulating the governor, the fact that he has the workers to stay at home, we must respect that. Particularly our students and our market women in particular. The activities in the market must reflect the new culture. We must obey the government. We thank the religious leaders who have so far communicated to all their followers, both Muslim and Christian alike, to have this last weekend enforced and obey the governor. So that restriction and the other advices continues.
Meanwhile, the Lagos State Commissioner for Health, Professor Akin Abayomi, is asking all participants at the African Magic Viewers' Choice Awards held on March 14th in Lagos to self-isolate. And that's because they may have come in contact with one of the confirmed cases in Lagos and are most likely to have been exposed to the COVID-19 infection. The commissioner, who disclosed this on his Twitter handle, is asking everyone involved to self-isolate, call the toll-free line, which is 08000 Corona, and ensure social distancing to prevent spread of the virus. And in a bid to contain the spread of the COVID-19 pandemic, the Enugu State Governor, Ifeanyi Ugwuanyi, has ordered the immediate closure of all educational institutions in the state, with all public and civil servants working from home. This excludes health workers, water corporation staff, waste management operatives, staff of the State Emergency Management Agency, and other essential workers. Some of the measures include suspension of all cultural and social gatherings, bars, nightclubs, and every sporting and recreational activity.
In view of the escalating threat of the coronavirus disease pandemic, I, in consultation with the state multi-sectoral rapid response team, security agencies, and other relevant stakeholders, now order the following additional safety measures with immediate effect. 1. Closure of all educational institutions in the state. 2. All public officers, civil servants to work from home till further notice, except the following. A. Health workers. B. Forest guards. C. Neighborhood watch personnel. D. Water corporation staffs. E. Waste management operatives. F. Staff of Enugu State Emergency Management Agencies. G. Firefighters. And H. All those involved in other essential services. 3. Suspension of all cultural and social gathering, including the following. A. Marriage ceremonies. B. Burial ceremonies. C. Masquerade festivals. D. Drinking bars. E. Nightclubs. And F. All group sporting and recreational activities.
In Delta State, the government is also taking steps to contain the COVID-19 spread by announcing the closure of primary, secondary and tertiary schools for a period of 30 days from tomorrow, March 25th. Governor Ifeanyi Okowa, in a statewide broadcast in Asaba, also directed that workers on grade levels 1 to 12, except those on essential duties, must stay at home effective March 26th. All public places, including banks, must, in addition to providing sanitizers at various entry points, ensure social distancing, while clubs, cinemas and lounges are to be shut immediately.
All institutions of learning, primary, secondary, and tertiary, are to close for a period of 30 days at the end of school hours on Wednesday, 25th March 2020. All workers on grade levels 1 to 12, excepting those on essential duties, like health staff, fire services, and water corporation agency staff, are to stay at home effective 26 March 2020. Biometric operations, including the clock in and clock out that is being done in ministries at all levels of government, both local and state, are hereby suspended till further notice. Malls, supermarkets, restaurants, banks, hotels, and bars must, in addition to providing sanitizers at various entry points, ensure social distancing by allowing only a few persons at a time. Market leaders to ensure that sanitizers are provided at all entry points to the market. Failure to do this will attract sanction from the government.
Let's get some insight now into the outbreak of COVID-19 and how medical personnel are coping with cases. We've been joined on the news at 10 by Dr. Mike Etomi, who's a United States-based nephrologist. Dr. Etomi, thank you for joining us on the news at 10. And we must commend you and your colleagues all over the world who've been attending to those affected with the virus. It must be really strenuous. What have you seen so far? What's your experience been like since this outbreak of the coronavirus?
I can tell you that it's been one of the most apprehensive moments I've had as a practicing physician. It's really one of those situations where you get into, you are not sure when you go to work. But what is more concerning, though, is that the panic that is created by all the issues around the virus sometimes can be just as bad as the disease itself. So one of the things we've got to find out here is to get the public very calm and make them understand that, yes, this is a deadly virus, but also understand that most people will recover. So once that message is in there, you want to reduce the panic. Once you reduce the panic, you want to also go into the mode of complete lockdown. Why do you want to do lockdown? The lockdown is to give a chance so that the spike that can occur when the disease really hits is really blunted. You want to flatten that curve of transmission. And this is what Italy missed out on. And you can see the price they are paying. And New York is now going into the same thing. So lockdown is a sacrifice we all have to make. We're all making here. Now, there will be some economic consequences, but that's understandable. But if the lockdown is done properly, which could last anywhere from a month, sometimes to 2, 3 months, then we can actually go through this most difficult phase of, I would say, the medical life of Nigeria.
Yes, and I know lots of people have been panicking, so it's important you say that people really need to avoid panic at this time. And I know a lot of people also want to jump forward to thinking about a vaccine for the virus. Do you think there's one in sight?
Well, the thing about vaccines is that there's none immediate now, but everybody's working on a vaccine. But to remember that to do a vaccine, you have to keep testing. And that period of developing the vaccine to testing will take anywhere from 12 to 18 months. So we are not going to be seeing a vaccine just right off, because you have to continue. The scientists will understand the behavior of the virus and develop the right vaccine for it. So we're not going to be seeing that anytime soon. But just as important as the vaccine is the individual. If we all practice, self-sanitation, the message is out there, what we must do, we can actually really stem the rise of this virus. We have to understand the biology of the virus. This virus is such that it can be easily killed by soap and water over a period of time and by any alcohol-based solution. So we are using sanitizers, but the question we have to ask ourselves in a place like Nigeria now is that there are so much economic consequences when we lock down, when there's disease. And it comes back to the base fact that in Nigeria, there's so much we must do for ourselves. We must be able to produce sanitizers in Nigeria. We are a very clean society when we have to be, and Ebola was a lesson for us. But if we continue to be indifferent and continue to take things lightly, then it's going to create a lot of problems. Other issues that are very important are the faith-based problems that actually we are faced with.
Right.
We must listen to well-organized groups, medical groups, information centers to get our information. If we
Dr.
get our
Tommy.
information from the wrong quarters, from a lot of social media that sometimes are actually hype and false, then we're going to create a lot more panic than we really should be doing that. So it's just as important talking about vaccine as much as what we do about personal hygiene. And that is the point that everyone must understand. You must wash your hands as frequently as you can. You must use sanitizers. Anywhere you go to, you just have to change your culture. Someone who spoke earlier mentioned that this is going to be a new thing in our culture. Yes, it's going to be. But that's the way it has to be. If you do that most of the time, you
Right.
can actually, in so many ways, limit the spread of the virus. Education is the key. And like I keep telling patients, nurses, when we work, it's education, education, and education. And I want to thank you guys, Channel TV, for what you have continuously done. The Association of Nigerian Physicians in the Americas have continuously engaged the Nigerian government in wanting to improve the overall health of Nigeria. This is one real trying and
Dr.
testing
Tommy.
moment.
Dr. Tommy,
Yes.
thank you. Thank you so much.
Yes.
We do appreciate you also commending Channels TV, and we thank you for your time, for your service right here also on the News at 10. Thank you again for joining us on the news.
And thank you for what you do.
And when the News at 10 returns, we're talking more on efforts to curb the coronavirus, plus the impact on the economy. We'll be joined by the CEO of Financial Derivatives Company, Mr. Bismarck Rewani, for more on this. Please join us again.